习近平主席的新年贺词，让我们坚定了扎根中国的信心。我重新意识到中国越来越强大了，也再次认为这就是由中国共产党的领导和人民不懈的努力带来的。全球疫情依然严峻，但中国全国上下防控疫情坚决有力，经济社会发展也取得显著成效。中国不断对外开放，市场规模很大，消费水平越来越高，我感到了充满希望的未来。虽然疫情还没结束，但是我有信心，中国能够通过有效管理，让经济更大提升。2022年也是中日邦交50周年，对我们日系企业来说是非常重要的一年。我们公司继续努力，继续加大投入，进一步了解中国消费者的需求，为他们提供更多的他们喜欢的产品。还有年初有北京冬奥会和冬残奥会，个人也期待成功安全举办。
I think that the President Xi Jinping's New Year address was a great speech by him as usual, addressing the Chinese people but also the whole world. He was pointing out some of the very great advances that have been made over the year 2021. To mention a few, there was the landing on the backside of the moon, which was never achieved before. And then there was also the very quick response in China, of course, to the COVID crisis. But he also mentioned a few other points, which I particularly think are very important. He mentioned the importance of nature and how we should have long-term plans into the future to take care of our environment. And I think that also here in 2021, there have been some very great advances being made. If you look at the popularity of electric vehicles in China, for example, I think this is a very important point. We see more and more companies coming up here. And then, of course, there is something else that maybe he also didn't directly mention in his speech, but which is very important to those concerns. I think few people know that China is one of the leading nations in research on fusion reaction to have sort of a really almost infinite energy source. I think that's one of the really big problems to be solved into the future. And I think indirectly he also addressed that China has been very active on this issue. Towards 2022, I expect that there will be further progress also in other areas such as robotics and automation. We have seen that, of course, also in the context of the popularity of the electric vehicles, there is more and more companies and research being done in China which are focusing on vehicle automation. And it's really great to see that China is one of the leading nations in this regard. My big wishes for 2022 are that we can fully solve the COVID crisis, not only in China. It has been handled here very well, but I hope that it can be solved very well in other places too, and that finally we can open up our borders again and find a step back closer to each other.
I was most struck by what was said at the beginning about rejuvenating China. And it just made me think how so many places in the world are thinking about rejuvenation of the country and the people. China, like Europe, like the United States, has a small generation of young people and many people older. And still we're looking forward to this new century and wondering what it's going to be about, how to bring up this young generation, how to reinvent the country. I think, like his speech said, I'm hopeful for the future and for the country.
I is really excited to see China has accomplished its first centenary-related goal in 2021 and now is gearing up for its next centenary goal ahead of building a model country in all respects. This remarks a very big achievement, since the historical convergence of the two centenary goals connects the past, the present, and the future. No matter which stage we are in, China has optimized the business environment, the strong resilience and vigorous growth of China's economy strengthen our confidence and determination to deepen our root in the China market. After years of cultivating, China is not only a vital market for Tapestry, but also a source of inspiration for brands to seek breakthrough and innovation. I believe China continues to be an important driving force for global development and prosperity, and Tapestry will, as always, bring qualified and exciting products and unique experience for our consumers to fully respond to the consumer's aspiration for a better and higher quality, more personalized life. I would like to express my sincerest wishes to the shared future in 2022. For people, I hope everyone could live in peace and harmony. For the world peace is the greatest prize of all. We can see that China has embarked on a path of poverty alleviation, following a people-centered philosophy and a series of other measures which concentrate the effort on guaranteeing the basic needs to improve people's livelihood. As the nation has started a new journey toward realization of its 7th centenary goal, the strong resilience and vigorous growth of China's economy have amazed the whole world. Every step forward is encouraging for foreign companies like Tapestry to further increase our investment in China.
What impressed me the most is the determination of President Xi to fight poverty, and the confirmation once again this year of the long-term commitment of the Chinese Communist Party to keep endeavoring to raise the living standards of the whole Chinese nation. In fact, in my eyes, the historical elimination of the extreme poverty that has been achieved during the years of leadership of President Xi can only be explained by this long-lasting perspective in which the long-term targets are never sacrificed for short-term demands. In my opinion, it's precisely this continuity in the purpose, this discipline in the execution that makes China so powerful and the country so reliable in the achievement of its strategic goals. I wait for a year during which the international exposure and the prestige of China should again increase. I think that the Winter Olympic Games are a great opportunity to do so. I also wish 2022 to be the very last year of the COVID pandemic. And finally, I am expecting 2022 to be the time for China to make again substantial contributions to put an end, or at least to lessen, the tensions and the frictions in the international arena that we have experienced in recent years.
Okay, so the year of 2021 had many advances, like the space station. We also had the rover going to Mars, and we also had many advances in artificial intelligence. In the year of 2022, we will also follow by having more advances, especially in the area of artificial intelligence. We have been seeing lots of progresses in convolutional neural networks, and I think in robotics we will have more and more robots moving around and going to places. The year of 2022 will have more advances in the area of artificial intelligence and robotics, especially in the area of digital image processing and convolutional neural networks. And we have more and more companies producing robots with legs, bipedal and quadruped robots. And I think specifically for the COVID-19, this technology that we have been developing to produce vaccines, the year of 2022 will be very promising, because we can have more, not only those 2 billion vaccines donated by the government, but we will have more vaccines to be distributed for poor countries to finally eradicate the problem from the world. I think that China contributed with 2 billion vaccines, and I think that now 2022 is finally the year that we can solve this problem, and for the rest of the world we will have less countries with it.
As the leader of one MNC here in China, for Asia, I've been very impressed by the speech of President Xi for the New Year. And probably what has been the most striking for me is the notion of timing and the fact that the action, all of the commitment goes in the long term, in the long sense of time with history. And I think this gives obviously a very strong weight on what is said. And the second element of the speech is the determination. The determination that you can read in the transformation of the country of China. And this transformation going to reduction or elimination of poverty, towards new technologies, and towards protection of the planet, protection of the environment. So all of this together gives obviously a very strong base for what China has become today, which is a growing market, rapidly growing market with a rapidly developing society. Actually a quite favorable environment for companies like Foresia. And we actually foresee that in 2025 we will double our sales compared to 2020, reaching 5 billion euros. Again, very significant improvement. Talking now about our strategy to achieve this development in China, I have to say here and to highlight that it is absolutely aligned with this new direction selected and given by the Chinese government towards carbon peak, carbon neutrality 2060.
I had the opportunity to read the New Year's greeting of President Xi Jinping, and was very impressed with one statement he made. He was referring to the discussion between Mao and Mr. Huang Yangping, and referring to the rejuvenation of the Chinese Communist Party and the society. And I think today we see a lot of young generations, they didn't really experience what their parents did experience, or even their grandparents. And I believe this is going to be very important also for the future of China, that we don't lose the sense of urgency and the need for hard work and diligence and leadership. So for 2022, I expect first that China keeps zero tolerance on COVID. It's very important actually to keep the society going. Then secondly, especially in international trade, I would expect that China takes the leading role in continuously developing Asia with RCEP now in place. And then also keeps working with especially the Western countries who show respect to China. And of course they very firm with the countries who are more destructive in the approach to China. For the domestic situation in 2022, I would expect further push in digitalization, the greening initiative, but also supporting Taiwan and making sure that Taiwan gets the benefit from the mainland and work towards an reunification. And then lastly also, of course, the topic which we already touched on rejuvenation. I think that's going to be important for 2022. In total, I would say it's going to be a good year, but not without hard work and diligence.